Hello, and thank you for tuning into the channel. Today, we'll take a look at top 10 performances of Peter Cushing. Before you begin, be sure to like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more future updates. Number 10. Sebastian Grisbane, House of the Long Shadows. In this 1983, Pete Walker directed the comedy horror film House of the Long Shadows. It's notable because it features Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and John Carradine in the same film. Because its source material, the famous novel 7 Keys to Baldpate, had already been adapted multiple times, the film failed to create an impression on critics. The plot centers around an American novelist who visits a Welsh manor and meets strange aristocrats. Lord Grisbane, played by Carradine, and his son, played by Cushing, are the patriarchs of the manor. The picture is still remembered for the fact that it heralded the comeback of the aforementioned seasoned veterans to acting. Cushing and the rest of the cast appear to be in their element, sarcastically mocking their own roles and the shallowness of their own horror oeuvre. Number 9. Sherlock Holmes Various. In the 1959 adaptation of The Hound of the Baskervilles, Cushing made his debut as the famous detective Sherlock Holmes. For this film, creative license was exercised, combining mystery themes from the novel with horror elements. Despite this, the actor gave it his all, deducing crimes, smoking his pipe, and donning a deerstalker hat. The performance attracted mixed reactions, but it was an intriguing, albeit more sympathetic, take on the normally pompous figure. In the 16-part BBC miniseries Sherlock Holmes, he reprised his role. Number 8. John Banning, The Mummy. Peter Cushing plays archaeologist John Banning opposite regular partner Vincent Price, who plays the titular figure. Cushing was at his most heroic when he played the hot-headed and morally virtuous character. The guardian of the dead, often known as the Mummy, is brought back to life after his squad desecrates an ancient Egyptian princess tomb. The 1959 film, produced by Hammer, does not have the legendary stature of its Universal predecessor, but it is nonetheless entertaining thanks to Lee and Cushing's always reliable chemistry. Number 7. Sheriff of Nottingham, Sword of Sherwood Forest. Cushing has played heroic roles in films ranging from Sherlock Holmes to Van Helsing. Before playing antagonists like Grand Moff Tarkin, he was able to get his teeth into a significant nasty character in the 1960 Robin Hood feature Sword of Sherwood Forest, again, a Hammer Films production. The legendary story of outlaw Robin Hood's adventures and the corrupt sheriff of Nottingham's attempts to arrest him is told in this light-hearted, feel-good film. Cushing gets to grow a magnificent goatee, recite Shakespearean monologues, and confront Sherwood's hero in a sword fight. Number 6. Dr. Christopher Maitland, The Skull. The Skull is a British horror film that allowed Peter Cushing to offer a more serious performance due to the story's psychological perspective. As opposed to his usual monster-driven horror films, the titular skull is that of Marquis de Sade, a nobleman and writer. Dr. Christopher Maitland, Cushing, an occult expert, becomes possessed with the skull and suffers from terrible hallucinations and insanity. This results in a series of emotional breakdowns, which the actor wonderfully captures. Number 5. Winston Smith, 1984, BBC Sunday Night Theatre. Winston Smith, in a TV production of George Orwell's dystopian classic 1984, was one of Cushing's first big roles. The program, which first aired in 1954, was deemed ahead of its time and sparked debate, even parliamentary debates, with its prophetic teachings on the underlying fascism in modern-day regimes. Winston is a low-level government employee who falls down a rabbit hole of state-sponsored torture after he dared to question the true nature of the system around him. Cushing delivers his part with depth and pain in one of his most difficult appearances. Number 4. Grand Moff Tarkin, Star Wars, Episode 4: A New Hope. Cushing played Grand Moff Tarkin, arguably his most well-known character. At a somewhat late point in his film career, he had already established himself as a horror actor before the first Star Wars picture. The part as the Death Star's belligerent commander not only helped him establish himself among American viewers, but it also helped him break out of the horror stereotype. Cushing's Moff Tarkin clearly depicts the Empire's ruthlessness, portraying the character with a stone-cold demeanor. The character reappeared in the spin-off film Rogue One, this time as a CGI recreation. Number 3. Dr. Van Helsing Various. Peter Cushing has starred in 5 Dracula films as the vampire's foe, Dr. Van Helsing, as part of his ongoing affiliation with Hammer. Despite the fact that the film's visual style and effects have aged poorly, Cushing's acting guaranteed that Van Helsing did not become a B-movie parody. Cushing's relationship with Christopher Lee, who played Dracula, is another important factor for the longevity of his performance. The actor's mannerisms closely mirror those of the original character, as they have in his prior literature-based parts, giving his performance greater credibility. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, for example, Van Helsing frequently raises his index finger when making a point. Cushing was able to accurately channel physical indications like these. Number 2. Arthur Grimsdyke Tales from the Crypt. The EC Comics of the same name provided as inspiration for a 1972 anthology film before Tales from the Crypt became a successful HBO series. In the Poetic Justice episode, Peter Cushing plays an elderly, pleasant widower. However, when a notorious neighbor torments him with unfounded accusations and pranks, the man loses his job and his dogs. He's driven to the point where he takes his own life, only to return from the afterlife to seek vengeance. The heartbreaking film depicts human cruelty and is bolstered by Cushing's own grief, which he was experiencing at the time due to the death of his wife Violet Beck. Number 1. Victor Frankenstein Various. Beginning with the 1931 Universal film of the same name, which starred Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein has been a cinematic treat for many, but it was Hammer's The Curse of Frankenstein, 1957, and its 5 sequels starring Peter Cushing that gave Baron Victor Frankenstein's character more complexity. Cushing's performance as Frankenstein was more centered on the human scientist who played the monster. He portrays himself as an egotistical and coldly smart scientist willing to go to any length for his experiments. Simultaneously, he researched Shelley's original persona in order to provide realism. Even simple chores like wielding a scalpel required him to seek assistance from specialists. His dedication paid off, as his cold-hearted act inevitably established the tone for future mad scientist cliches. This concludes today's video. What are your thoughts on our list? Please let us know what you think in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates.